Firaxis recently released Civ VII's 1.3 patch that promised sweeping changes and major balance patches in one of the largest updates to Civ VII yet. In an attempt to win back fans that have been reluctant to return to Civ VII after its rocky release, Firaxis even included new free DLC. So how did it go? Welcome to Civilization Stories, where we examine alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. As someone who has been tight-fisted with the new Civilization game, reluctant to spend more money until I get a full, fleshed-out game that plays in a way where I feel fully engaged, I was happy to see new DLC. The new additions and changes to the naval game seemed particularly interesting. So after installing the latest patch, I fired up a game and decided to play as Blackbeard. Let me say first that anytime a game developer gives away anything for free, it's a happy day. Seeing a pirate leading a civilization from the Bronze Age? Okay, but I really don't see why they couldn't design some ancient era clothes for old Edward Teach here until we got ourselves to the exploration era. I still really feel that having the leaders you look at on the diplomacy screen evolve and modernize over the course of the game would make for a far more immersive experience. It's such a small thing. They did it in Civ III even though it was super clunky, but it was, after all, still the 90s, I think. It's 2025 now, so seeing the leaders on the diplomacy screen evolve with the times would be really cool. For example, I am currently in Iran, so I decided to start my game as Ed Teach of the Persians. You could quite honestly just put his head on Xerxes' body, lick a paint, and you're done. Anyway, here's the skinny on what to expect when you play, or if you make your way back to the game. The game feels a bit new. What I mean by that is the game is definitely more challenging, and at least in the early part of the game, the AI is a little more savvy in combat and definitely more aggressive. I wasn't hospitable, but I wasn't a jerk either, and all of the AI straight up declared war on me. I didn't lose any ground, but I didn't gain much. And stuck trying to defend my gains, the AI out-cultured and out-teched me by quite a margin. Edward Teach is fine. I like his bonuses in theory, even if I didn't really get to put them into practice. The sloop is a super weak unit, and the AI always seemed to have units that would just take mine out with ease. It made building sloops kind of pointless. I scratched the surface, so there's opportunity to go deeper, but the whole pirate thing feels like it should be a scenario and not part of the full game. I do like the idea of piracy, though, and they have reintroduced the privateer that can attack units without declaring war. Anybody who thinks this is a new idea to Civilization, sorry to burst your bubble. This goes back to that greatest of all great Civ games, Civ IV. I think I would have preferred to have Blackbeard in the game as a fleet commander that maybe RNGs for one Civ at any point in the game and has a unique ability like generating plunder with every naval unit destroyed, or maybe he can capture rival treasure fleets without declaring war, or maybe fleet commanders can have a pirating promotion tree that cuts off the other trees but provides pirating bonuses. I think that would have been the better way to introduce pirating into the game, giving pirates full Civ playability. Well, it's definitely in the spirit of Civ VII overstepping and understepping historical context, so whatever. But yeah, if you have your own thoughts on this one, let me know. They have revamped the UI. There are some notable changes, but I'm not about to judge whether they are better or worse. That's kind of up to each individual. But there was a learning period where I said to myself, what does this all mean? They've definitely balanced out what players can do with their empire and have tamped down the feeling of being able to do everything with every city, and that's a very good thing. Sure, I only played the Ancient Age and a bit of the Exploration Age, so I can't say for sure how this plays out over the course of the whole game, but I did feel I could get a sense of it as I played. The TLDR here overall is that the game is still kind of fun, but still a disappointment. And since I have been playing other Firaxis games in the interim, including older Civ games, coming back does highlight some of the things that I really dislike about Civ VII. And as I say that, I know how it's going to sound to some ears. Let me be clear, the game is steadily, if even a little slowly, getting better. But it is getting better more for those players who I imagine already kind of enjoy the game, or at least aren't as bothered by some of the mechanics that feel like lines in the sand for me. But clip this part out if you have to so that I'm never misquoted again. The game is getting better. So, just to go back to those things that do irk me and that feel more irksome the more I play. Mementos. I hate them. legacy paths, and attribute points. I would prefer if all of those things, accumulating resources, displaying codices, spreading your religion, capturing enemy cities, I wish that they added to the strength of your empire in some way rather than the effect they have now of progressing you up a tree. You might say, Husky, isn't it 6 of one, half a dozen of the other? I mean, maybe. I just feel like the way it's implemented feels unnatural. Take codices, for example. What if codices you display adds +2 science empire-wide? If you are able to display 10, then each of your towns generates an extra +2 science. And that sticks. Like the codices are always displayed and the bonuses always hang around, so it's never effort wasted. In the spirit of history being built in layers, you could even design a city project that is something called, like, I don't know, the Literary Tradition Project. You use production for a few turns and it turns your codices into a great work of literature that converts its +2 science into +3 science and +2 culture, or +2 of a different yield depending on the type of work it is. Maybe you convert the codex into a treatise on farming like De Re Rustica and get +2 food, or the definitive work on engineering like Vitruvius's De Architectura and get +2 production, Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations +2 gold, and so on. It could also have an element of RNG to it. Having choice is great, but sometimes a little surprise is nice too. In a recent developer update, Ed Beach did address this and mentioned that they are opening up the game and legacy paths.
We're testing some dramatic changes to the legacy paths and victories in Civ VII. We want to open up the game and provide many new paths your empire can follow while achieving greatness and competing for victory.
I'm optimistic to see where this can go to make the game feel more sandboxy. But the one thing that is still unforgivable for me is this. Man, when that era breaks, I just lose it. I promised long ago that I would make a video about how to handle age changes, but the full reset and skipping over 1,200 years of history, for me, this is worse than civs that don't persist. It is so jarring. All civs just changing all at the same time without some kind of story or explanation as to why bothers me so much. Earlier civ games, you got to notice when other civs made the jump. You could race to a tech and make the jump yourself, and it was considered a momentous occasion. You entered the classical era, and then the game just continued. The countdown to the age transition is also terrible. Like, I'm glad there's finally a turn timer, but you want to talk about meaningless clicks? 6 turns remaining, 8 turns to build a science building. Well, I'd love to, but what's the point? The last few turns of the age are painful because I'm caught between feelings of, okay, I know I can do this, so I should get that done before I run out of time, and okay, let's just get to the next age already. Now, Ed Beach has come out recently and stated that they are playtesting how to have civs persist across ages.
Second, and this one's been one of the most requested features from players, we're internally playtesting ways to play as one civ continuously through the ages, allowing you to choose a civilization from any age and guide them throughout your journey through history.
There's a part of me that is all for this, but I think there are ways to have civs evolve over time. Again, I'm going to make a video about that. I promise it'll happen one day. It's hard to get all of the thoughts together into something that sounds coherent. As far as I'm concerned, Firaxis would be better off focusing on finding ways to not stop the game during age changes and have the ages flow together more naturally. Bless God, he said, internally playtesting. I imagine many Civ fans are through with pay-to playtest. Firaxis are launching the feature workshop, allowing players to give their feedback and steer the ship. This makes me nervous. There are a lot of bad ideas out there. I know. There's probably an army of folks rolling their eyes thinking, no shit, Husky, yours are some of the worst. Maybe. I just hope that some of the best ideas come to the fore over the next few months and Firaxis can shore up those things that are still missing from Civ VII. Like I said, they are making strides, and if they can find a way to make those age transitions either softer or meaningful or feel even more continuous, I think it will go a long way to Civ VII becoming the Civ installment that we'd always hoped for. There is a lot of good in there, and in the heat of play, it is starting to balance itself out. It's those big swings that are still kind of whiffing. But let me know what you think, and if you haven't yet, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And remember to keep playing and making your own civilization story, your own amazing path through history. And I'll see you next time.